All right. Well, welcome. My name is Pam Bryant. I'm one of the academic advisors with the Faculty of Arts and Science, and I'm here with my colleague, Darylyn Auld, and we are going to talk tonight about certificates. And we are going to divide and conquer. So I'm going to run the slides, and Darylyn is going to answer any questions you have in the chat. If you have questions and we have time at the end, I'm more than happy to take them. You can unmute and we can chat. But in case we don't, if you want to have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and Darylyn is ready to answer all your questions. All right, so let's get started. There we go. Okay, so what is a certificate? A certificate is a mini credential. So you're going to declare your major, your minor, maybe a medial for your degree. And another option you have alongside your degree, or you can do it as a standalone, is to complete a certificate. And this allows you to do just a smaller number of courses in a focused subject area, and it helps you gain new skills. It's something you can put on your resume, and also helps you if you were thinking of, you can't decide between, you're really interested in wanting to get one major, but you're really interested in another area, this could be a way to go. I've heard of a number of students who have applied for jobs because they've got the right degree, and what kind of put them over the top of other candidates for a particular job was that they had a certificate that was of interest to the employer. So it has many benefits. So when we're looking at what kind of certificates are open to you, there's a number of them, and there's a list there. There's academic writing, and the academic writing one is actually for online students only, but the rest of them are open to on-campus students. If you go to the Arts and Science homepage, you look under undergraduate students, and then to degree plus options, and that's where the certificates are. And it will show you all of the courses needed, the number of units, how to apply, all the information is there. We'll go through a few of them that are of interest a little bit while later, so you can see a little bit more of what's in each of them. But that's just giving you an idea of what is available. You'll see that there's a number, the ones on the left are separate from the ones on the right. The ones on the right are more specialized departmental certificates. And we'll talk about how many credits can transfer or can double count between your certificate and your degree. And there is a difference, and those three on the right there are the ones that can count, all of the units that you take in them can count towards your degree. There's a little bit of a difference on the ones on the left, and we'll talk about that in a second. We'll also talk about how you can register for any of the certificates if you're interested. So a certificate is usually between 12 and 18 credits, 12 or 18 units. So going into it, you have to know that not all of the units that you take for certificate will be able to count towards your degree. So normally about up to 50% of the courses that you take in your certificate can also count towards your degree. So that means that the remaining 50% will be extra. So if you're doing an honors degree, it's 120 units. So if you're doing an honors degree and a certificate, you go in knowing that it will be more than the 120 units. There's a few exceptions to the 50% of the courses counting towards your degree and to your certificate. But go on to that certificate page, and that will explain it more in detail. All right, so to give you an example, so I said there's between 12 and 18 units. So it says up to 50% can be double counted. So if you're looking at a certificate that is 12 units, that means that 6 units can be double counted to your certificate and your degree, and 6 units you'll need to take in addition to your degree. So that would mean that the 120 units you take for your honors degree, plus an additional 6. So you need to take 126 units to get your degree and the certificate. For the 15 unit certificates, again, it's 6 units that can be double counted. That's why we said up to 50%. So 6 units can be double counted, meaning that 9 units are in addition and not counted towards your degree. So 120 units again for your honors degree, plus 9 units for the certificate would mean you're taking 129 units to finish both your degree and your certificate. And then for certificates that are 18 units, 9 can be double counted, 9 you would take in addition. So that means you'll be looking at 129 units to take your degree and any certificates that fall into the 18 units. If you decide, and some students decide that they want to take more than one certificate, so you've got your degree, you're working on your degree and you're really liking 2 certificates, you can take more than one certificate. What would happen there is that you can double count for each certificate towards your degree. So if you were taking a 12-unit certificate, 6 would be able to be double counted. If you took another 12-unit certificate, again, 6 would be able to be double counted. Okay. That means, though, that there would be 6 units in each remaining still to be done in addition. So along with the arts and science, the number of arts and science certificates that are offered, which there's quite a lot of them, there are a couple that are outside of the arts and science faculty, but are available for arts and science students, which is great. So there's a certificate in law, and that's 12 units. And there's a Smith certificate in business, and that's 18 units. And so what happens with these ones is, because they're outside of arts and science, any courses taken outside of arts and science, you can use up to 6 units. That's the maximum that can be transferred into your degree, to be double counted for your degree. So if you were to do either of these certificates, 6 units would be able to double count for the certificate in law or business and your degree. And then the remaining units would need to be just counted towards a certificate, not counted towards your degree. You have to register with the law school or Smith school if you want to do either of those certificates. You apply directly to them. And then once you've taken the 6 units, which are charged at arts and science fees, any of the remaining units are charged at the law school or Smith School of Business fees. So the tuition rate for those is a bit higher than the arts and science. So you just need to know that going in. But you can find, if you go onto their websites, the Queen's websites for the law, for Smith School, you'll find more information and more information about how to register and what the fees look like. Okay, but they're quite popular for students to take, as long as they realize that the 6 units is the maximum that can be transferred over. And this one doesn't double. It's not like the arts and science certificates, where if you take 2 certificates, you can count both of them towards your degree. For these 2, 6 units is the max total. So if you decided you started doing the law certificate and then you decided, not really my thing, I want to do the business certificate, you absolutely can switch. But once you've taken those 2 law degrees and they count towards, or 2 law courses, and they count towards your arts and science, then your commerce can't count. So that all of them then would count, all of the Smith ones would count only towards your certificate at the Smith School tuition fees. All right, so I hope that is clear. So if you're thinking, I'm really interested in a certificate, it looks like a good idea, how do I go about it? So it's open to students who are in their 2nd year or above, but what we really recommend is try out a course or 2 to see if it's a fit. So if you're really interested in, say, the entrepreneurship certificate, you might want to try out a couple of those courses. And if it doesn't fit, if you take them and you think, I don't think I'm interested in this certificate anymore, those courses can probably be used as electives towards your degree anyway. So it's not like there's a waste. But then if you take a couple and you say, yeah, I'm really interested in this and I think I want to finish the certificate, then what you do is you would email, and depending on whether you're an on-campus or an online student, it's slightly different who you email. So if you were an on-campus, you would email asc.registration@queensu.ca. And if you are an online student, then you email aso.online queensu.ca, just to add the certificate. Like I said before, for the law and business certificates, they do require an application. You need to go to their websites to see what the deadlines are, the requirements, and how to apply. So all that is there for you. We do also recommend that you map out your degree. So not waiting until your fourth year to then decide, oh, I want to add on a certificate now. Just because you're in a certificate doesn't mean you get priority for the courses. So you might want to give yourself a bit more time to make sure you can try and fit those courses in around your degree, and still be able to move forward with both. So mapping it out ahead of time is always a good plan. Okay, so let's take a look at a couple of the certificates and what they would look like, what would it involve. So entrepreneurship, innovation, and design is a quite popular certificate. It's offered by the Dance School of Music and Drama, and it's in collaboration with 9 different departments. So this certificate allows students to explore interdisciplinary courses to develop skills in design, marketing, entrepreneurship, and strategic planning. So it's quite popular. Students seem to really enjoy it. But like I said, because of its popularity, you don't want to wait until your 4th year to start taking some of these courses. So you might want to start thinking about it now. And if you want to start fitting in some of the courses along the way, that would probably be to your benefit. Okay, so the International Studies Certificate. I don't know if any of you were at the presentation 2 presentations ago when the International Office did a presentation. They talked about this certificate because they are the ones that actually administer this one. So it's a formal exchange program that for students who want to study abroad or do a study term at the Bisque, which is Hertmannsteuw Castle in England. And it's an amazing program. I've heard great things about it. So what it is 15 units. 6 units are for study abroad units. 6 units are cross-cultural units, and 3 units are language acquisition. Now, I know some people are saying, well, this COVID, how do we do this when we're in the midst of a pandemic and we can't travel anywhere? So the International Center, the International Office has thought this through, and they do have a plan, and they do have a way of you working through this certificate, even with the restrictions that COVID has brought upon us. So if this is something that really interests you, by all means, reach out to the International Programs Office and talk to them. They have some creative ways for you to be able to do this certificate, even with COVID and all the joys that brings. Okay, so there's some of the sample courses that would be involved in this particular certificate. Another one that's offered by Arts and Science is Employment Relations. This is a 15-unit certificate. It's really great for people who want to prepare for careers in human resources or labor relations, or perhaps law. Just so you know that employment relations can also be offered as a minor. So some students will opt to take it as a minor, and I've known somebody who was taking it in a minor and decided they wanted to switch it from a minor to a certificate. So that's also a possibility too. And you can see the sample courses there: conflict resolution, workplace policy and governance. So yeah, so it sets you up well if those are the areas that you want to get into. Okay, so disability and physical activity. This is a 15-unit certificate. It's a very competitive entry program, certificate rather. So there is requirements for this one that you need to apply to. You can't just say, I want to be part of this and you're in. You actually have to apply to this one. And you need a minimum GPA of 2.7 to apply. There's also a few additional requirements. So you need to have your standard first aid, your CPR, and you also need to get a vulnerable person's criminal records check. This particular certificate, the applications are in May during the same time as plan change. And that's the only time that it's open. So if this is one that you're interested in, you might want to take a look at it and plan on applying either this May or know that you want to apply for next May because it's not open all the time. There again, you can see where some of the sample courses that if that's of interest to you, that might be something you want to take a closer look at. Okay, so the important things here are, just to recap, take a look at the website, make sure that you look at the certificate options, what's the potential for you, what things you might be interested in, and take a course or two in that particular certificate before you register for it. So just so you know, when you register for a certificate, it does show up on your transcript. So if later on you decide you want to drop that and you want to add another one, that's fine. You just don't want to keep adding and dropping, because every time you do that, it will show up in your transcript. So take a course or two, see if it's something that you think really would interest you, and then by all means, email asc.registration or asc.online and request to be added. And then if you're interested in the law or the business, then reach out to them, look at their website, see what they have for application and deadlines. Mapping your degree. So again, don't wait to the last minute. Make sure that you know for the next number of years kind of how everything fits together, what courses would be best for you to take in second year, third and fourth year to make sure that you try and get everything done, knowing that it's going to take you a little bit longer because you're going to have a few extra units to complete beyond your degree. Meeting an academic advisor is always a great idea, but if you want to talk to somebody about what certificate do I think would work best for me, how am I going to fit it all in, reaching out to one of the arts and science academic advisors. We're always happy to meet with you. We're doing Zoom meetings, phone meetings, email. The past advisors are happy to meet with you also. The important thing is that you reach out, that you ask for help, because we don't know who needs it unless you ask for it, right? Hopefully you've all had a chance to go to the advising booth tonight and get some great advice. You can also see there again, asc.registration@queensu.ca. That is the website, the email for if you want to make an advising appointment. You can also phone the office, 613-533-2470, and book an appointment with an advisor, and we would be happy to chat with you. So that brings me to the end of the presentation and everything that I wanted to make sure that we shared with you. If you have any questions, I am happy to answer any of your questions. There we go. And I see Darylyn has been busy putting some of the information in the chat room or in the chat. So if I went a little too quickly, I just wanted to make sure that we got through everything and left a little bit of time at the end. If you had any questions, we would be able to answer them. I see somebody did ask about the slides. I knew that was coming. So all the videos from tonight, all the presentations tonight have been recorded. It will be posted on the website. So if there's any other questions, is it possible to pursue a certificate with a specialization stream which doesn't have as many electives? So yes, it may mean that if it doesn't have as many electives that could double count, that you may end up having to do a few extra courses that would go just towards your certificate rather than double counting. It depends on how many electives you would have in your specialization. But yes, definitely possible. it may mean a little bit of extra time. So as long as you plan for that and you know that going in, then absolutely. Are there any other questions? You're welcome. Any other questions? I see a few people just arrived. I apologize if you've been waiting in the lobby for very long. If you have any questions, we do still have a few minutes. If anybody has any questions, happy to answer them. If not, please check out the certificate page on the Arts and Science webpage under undergrad students, or the one that's Darylyn was kind enough to post there. And that'll answer a lot of your questions, but by all means, give us a call, email us. We're happy to answer anything that you want to know. Better to ask than not. Is there anything else, Darylyn, that you wanted to add?
I think you've done a great job of providing an overview. I feel like a lot of the questions that we get do come around the double counting issue, and just really making sure that students are aware of, oftentimes the best way to complete those are to just plan to take a few extra courses in the summer. And know that for something like the certificate in business, you do actually have some additional time to complete those courses. So the certificate in business will allow students to take up to 3 terms after graduation. So if you were finishing your studies in June, then you would be able to use that following summer and the following academic year to finish those courses.
Great, thanks, Darylyn. Anything else? Oh, Brianna, is the law certificate strictly online, or will it return to in-person next year? I remember reading on the website that it was online. That's a good question. That is a question that I would pose to the law faculty, seeing as it's theirs. I don't want to speak on their behalf and tell you that they're going to do one thing and they've got plans to do something else. So I would be reaching out to them if that's something of interest to you. Just send them an email, and I'm sure they will get back to you and let you know one way or the other. Well, thank you, Darylyn. Yeah, everything's a little up in the air with, we talk about on-campus students and online students, and everybody's a little confused because everybody's online at the moment. But there is a difference, hopefully, again, one day. All right, any other questions? All right, well, I don't want to rush you, but and I will hang out here for the next few minutes. But thank you for joining us tonight. I hope you learned a little bit more about certificates and what they could potentially offer you, and that you can go take a look and get more information online or from one of the advisors. Thank you for coming tonight, and I hope you all have a good night.